On today's episode, has Lovie Smith already written the Texans off versus the Chiefs this weekend? Will Isaiah Pacheco have a big day on the ground? We're going to talk about all this and more with Kingdom Kast own Kylie Winfrey. Stick around.
All right, let's get started. So Lovie Smith actually got on his press conference today and talked about how there were so many injuries with the Texans. Dameon Pierce, Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, Derek Stingley, all of them are questionable for Sunday. He went on to talk about how the Chiefs are the top offense in the NFL with all kinds of star power and that they have a very good defense. And he said, so pretty much they're just focusing on building on the good things they did last week. So does it sound like to you that he's kind of counting his own team out and they're just saying, hey, we're just playing to get better than last week and we have no chance here? Is that what it sounds like to you, Kylie?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he doesn't have very much faith in his team, which it would be hard to, especially when they're all riding with backups and third stringers and all that. And then, I mean, the Chiefs are sought after. Not only are the Texans after him, but, all the best teams in the league are after him. We always get other teams' best look. So I think in comparing the Texans to other teams who we've just played, the Bengals, the Bills, he kind of sees the writing on the wall there that it's probably not going to be an easy win for them. It's encouraging, I think, for his team to hear that, we're just trying to build in its small steps. I think as a coach and as a team, those are things you do want to hear.
Yeah, so I'm fully expecting Sunday afternoon to roll around and we're all sitting around like with our blood pressure up and we've only won by like 3 points. And we're like, what is going on? I'm hoping that don't happen. But yeah, this team is 1-11-1. They got that big tie in. I don't remember who it was against, but the Texans do have a tie. I think Lovie's just kind of playing it, the best way he can. He don't want to just come out and say, hey, our team sucks and we don't have a chance. But, I mean, he's basically saying, hey, we suck and we don't have a chance. Yeah. What are you going to say about the Chiefs? I mean, this team has overperformed this year, according to the media and everybody else that said we were trash without Tyreek and everything else. So
I just think that he was admitting that they were in a state where they're rebuilding pretty much. They have nothing to build on except for last week. Like, we're just playing to get better. That's where we're at. We're not expecting to come out here and beat the top offense in football. So I think he's just playing the safe route and just being real. So, I mean, got to respect that.
Do you guys think Lovie Smith's going to get fired after this year, or do you think he's back next year?
He'll be back.
Oh, you think he's gonna be back? Why?
Why?
I mean, he just came in this year, and it's not like it's his fault what kind of roster they had. As long as if they can see some like positive trends going on, maybe not in the win column, but as far as like other things go, like he's been building up. Dameon Pierce has been one of the best running backs in football. So I mean, if they just look at the little things and the fact that Lovie Smith's always been a good coach, he's got a good attitude. I think he'll be around next year.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Originally I was like, no, there's no way. But you kind of just like maybe talked me back into it. I'm thinking like similarities to Dan Campbell. Obviously they're not the same coach, but the way he kind of rallied the team together as their first year. And then now they're seeing success this year. Maybe they do give him an opportunity to kind of build that roster and come back next year. I could see it. You kind of talked me into it a little.
I feel like you almost have to give him another chance, especially if you've decided we're moving away from Davis Mills. We're going to draft one. Maybe they let him draft his guy, but then again, you may want to bring a new coach in that wants to draft his own guy. And so that's where I'm sitting on the fence. The Texans are going to probably have the number 1 pick. They may want to just clear house and get a guy that comes in and hope to God don't take Will Levis and embarrass Kentucky by picking Will Levis number 1. That would be the worst thing you ever did.
One big talking point in Chiefs Kingdom, it's been that way all year, and it's been really heavy lately since Isaiah Pacheco has gotten more touches that Clyde's been out, is we've got to get this running game established. We've got to pound the ball to Isaiah Pacheco. This is going to be a game where we should jump out to a huge lead. Does Andy Reid make the same mistake that he did last week where you're up by a hefty margin and instead of running the ball and shortening the game, do they keep passing? Or do you think Pacheco's actually going to have his big game this week where he gets 20 to 25 carries, breaks 100 yards, and scores a touchdown?
They're 100% going to abandon the run game and go ahead and start passing. I wish I was wrong, believe me. It is so infuriating sitting here on the couch seeing Pacheco get 5-6 yards a carry. We see how dominant he is, how much energy he brings to the team, to that line, and then they just take him out. I mean, in the Bengals game, I think we had a drive where we ran, and then we get to the red zone, and then we do 3 passing plays right in a row. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take, I guess is what I'm saying, for them to run the ball more. I do think now that there's McKinnon and Pacheco, kind of just the two of them going back and forth, they've been able to establish a better run game. Throwing CEH, nothing against CEH, but the three of them rotating, that they never really got an opportunity to like get into a groove. I feel like they have that opportunity now. I definitely think we're going to see more running, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, I think you're right about that because, I mean, you're always taught the way to predict the future is to look to the past. And Andy Reid has never relied on a run game. And even back with Kansas City, all the way back to Alex Smith against the Colts in the playoffs, where they fumbled that whole situation away, being up at halftime by 300 points. It doesn't matter. We just never learn. And I don't think Andy is ever going to learn. We could be up by 60 and we would still pass the ball. And if we come back and blew it and lost 75-62, Andy would still do the same thing the next week. That's just him. That's what you're going to get from Big Red. He's going to bust through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and he's just going to tear it up, and that's all you can do, and we're just going to have to deal with it. And I think Pacheco's just going to have to deal with it. Like, if you come to Kansas City, you're not going to be that pound 25, carry back. And, I mean, I guess Pacheco's just got to take his 15 to 20 carries and do more with it. I guess they expect him to get more than 6 yards a carry.
There is just a part of me that feels like maybe they're saving him for playoffs. And that's where I'm like, okay, they don't want to give too much away. They don't want to show their cards too much as far as the run game's concerned. So maybe we see more of him in the playoffs. I'm just holding on to that hope.
My thing, a lot of Chiefs Kingdom is in that camp that every time something happens or something's not happening, they're always so quick to be like, Andy's just playing it coy. He's saving it for the playoffs. He's doing this. And I'm always like, I think you guys are digging into this too deep. I just don't think Andy wants to do it. But so I think you answered my question, but are you one of those people that believe Andy really hides plays and saves players for playoff games?
No. There is a part of me that thinks that Andy is so much smarter than everybody else in the room. Like, we're looking left, they're looking right. I think there is a little bit of truth to that. But with the run game, to your point, like, Andy, we're not a run first offense. We're never going to be a run first offense with Andy Reid, and that's just how it is. Do I think we're going to be a run first offense in the playoffs? Absolutely not. Do I think we're going to orchestrate and bring out more plays than we've seen? Yes. But I kind of toe the line. I think there are other areas, the magic plays or whatever it is, that we're just saving for the playoffs. I don't know about that, but maybe more of a run game. Yeah.
So do you think that it's when we're up by, 3-4 scores, is it that Andy Reid knows that we should run the ball, but he takes the opportunity to work on things almost like a practice situation, like things he wants to see, things that he wants to improve on? Do you think he's so far ahead of everyone that that's what he's doing, and he don't really care if they come back and score 21 points as long as we still get the W?
Andy's always had this, like, takes his foot off the gas mentality. Always. I feel like every time we get a big lead, no matter who we're playing, they always seem to squeak back in, whether that's because we decide to go against what we were like our first couple of drives. Like, that's exactly what happened with Denver. We had a great game plan opening up, and then all of a sudden we kind of went away from what was working. So it is possible that he's doing, like, that's when he decides to throw in new plays and try new things, because they do seem to abandon the game plan pretty quickly if we're up by a few scores.
Let's move on to the next topic here. The last time you were on the show was during draft season. It was I want to say April. And so we were kind of going through mock drafts. We were drafting
the first guest. She was the first guest we ever had.
Yeah, you were the first guest we ever had, by the way. The best guest we've ever had. Sorry, Cole. Sorry, Lance. But yeah.
Hey, guys.
So you guys were banging the table for George Pickens. Do you guys remember that in the second round?
Yes.
So Kylie, what do you think about George Pickens? Did we miss the ball on that before we get into this next one, or do you think Sky Moore can get there and he's just not being utilized properly?
I love George Pickens, a really big George Pickens fan, still a big George Pickens fan. We see what he's doing in Pittsburgh. It's like almost I can't watch it because it hurts a little bit to see him. It's almost like he feels like he's cheating on you because, you really wanted him on your team and he's not. He's awesome. I think, though, the thing about this offense and what Andy does with his team is you don't ever really see rookies get an opportunity, specifically with wide receivers. So do I think George Pickens would have come in here and made a bigger splash? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be getting the snaps or the targets. Like, that's what we're seeing with Sky Moore. Because if you notice, when we do put Sky Moore out there, when he gets targets, he's making plays. He's executing. I think it's more about the fact that we're just not willing to use them. So I don't think that George Pickens would have come in here and had the season he's had so far with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I think that George Pickens is a beast, and I think it was almost obvious that, he should have went higher in the draft than he did. I don't know how you miss on that. It's just me. It was pretty obvious. I think he's going to be a great receiver for a lot of time to come, if, barring injuries and things like that. Sky Moore is too, though. When Sky Moore actually gets his opportunities in this offense, he's going to roll. He's, sure hands, quick burst. He's immaculate route runner. I mean, you can tell that Mahomes already trusts him quite a bit because he'll chuck some balls his way that he probably wouldn't throw to other people. I think that if George Pickens had been drafted by the Chiefs, we probably wouldn't have seen a whole lot of them. I actually watched a clip the other day where LaShawn McCoy was talking about how Andy Reid don't even talk to rookies. So, I mean, if he won't even give them the time to talk to him, he said that they have to earn it with him. And he even asked another player, I can't remember who it was, but they had played under Andy as well. He's like, did he talk to you as a rookie? And he said, no. So, I mean, maybe that's just how it is in Andy's system. So she's probably exactly right. I don't think it matters either way. I think Sky's a great pick as well. But he's just not getting the same opportunity George Pickens is getting right off the bat.
Yeah, so with these draft picks, we all know we took Trent McDuffie, we took George Karlaftis with our 2 number 1s. So I'm going to play a little fun game with you guys. I've got the top 7 rated round 1 rookies right now, according to PFF. I'm going to give you guys number 1. Number 1 is Sauce Gardner, cornerback for the Jets.
Yeah.
Can you guys name anybody that you think should be on that top 7 list?
Aiden Hutchinson?
Aiden Hutchinson is on the list. He's not as high as you would think he was. Out of 7, he is number 6.
Is our boy George on there?
George Karlaftis did not even crack the top 20.
I think she meant Pickens.
George Pickens.
Yeah.
No, he's not on there either. Our boy George, either boy George is not.
Let's look no further than who we're playing this week. What about Dameon Pierce? Did he crack it?
No, he is not in the top 7. I'm going to give you the number 2 name. The number 2 name is Chris Olave, wide receiver for the Saints. Garrett Wilson is number 3. Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame, he's 4. Drake London was 5. Aiden Hutchinson was 6. And one guess is who's number 7?
Trent McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie is number 7.
Yeah.
So when we drafted Trent McDuffie and I partied and Steve kind of raged a little bit because he don't like corners so early. I mean, Trent McDuffie's had a heck of a season. Could you guys imagine how high he would be maybe if he hadn't had that groin injury?
Oh, man.
He's the real deal. He's the real deal.
I thought for sure George, I know he wouldn't be on there, but I know he's been doing great with pressures. He's had 3 sacks over the last 3 weeks. So I definitely want to give our boy George his flowers. He's definitely improving. So don't get discouraged. Keep going. And Trent McDuffie, he does everything very quietly, which I really enjoy. Like, he's just quietly making plays. I think he had that one play where he kind of left Jerry Jeudy wide open on Sunday, which was a little frustrating. And then he had the one pass interference call, which I don't really agree with. So he's tripped up a couple of times, but overall, he's killing it. Number 7, hell yeah.
If you remember when we were talking about the draft, we actually said that Sauce Gardner was the best player in that draft, hands down. I think that was pretty obvious. So it makes pretty good sense. But I think Trent McDuffie, he's right up there in that corner talk anyway. And he's proved it so far this year. Like Kylie said, he does it quietly, and it's because a lot of people don't want to throw to him because he shuts everyone down. And the play that you were talking about where he left Jerry Jeudy open, I wasn't so sure if that was his fault or Snead's fault because it looked like they were supposed to switch and Snead didn't switch. But then again, Snead is a veteran in that defense, so he might have known more than me and McDuffie. So, but our draft was excellent. I have been worried about Leo and Brian Cook. They've been not what we thought they were going to be, I guess, is the best way to say it. But I do feel like they'll come around eventually. They're just going to be like those slow developing guys, hopefully. But the rest of the picks, man, they've all come in and put in good time right off the bat. I mean, even down to Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, they've all put in some good snaps. So we got to be pretty happy with that.
Minus Kennard, who sadly we all thought was going to be a pretty solid pick.
Well, it's just kind of like the Sky Moore thing. If you're not getting opportunities, what are you going to show? But Brett Veach actually said that they like Kennard and that they're just giving him time because he come out of Kentucky, which was a run-heavy offense, and he's trying to get him in that pass pro and get improvement there on his footwork and stuff. So I think they still believe in him. I just think that he's a long play. I don't think they think he was going to come in and go straight to starting like we thought he might.
You're not a big Brian Cook fan, but do you prefer him over?
Not.
Okay. So how do you feel about Thornhill?
Thornhill's trash.
We're
I'm just
not
gonna go
the
ahead and throw that out
yeah,
there. I don't
we're
want to.
not
I
the
hate
biggest
dogging on
Thornhill
people.
fans.
I hate dogging on people, but Thornhill, man, uh, he's a liability in the run game, big time. He don't want to make tackles. He learned the Ole move from that last year of the Honey Badger. Um, and he does help in the pass game a little bit. I'll give him that. He tends to be a ball hawk. He will get an interception here and there, which he got one, against the Bengals that, they decided to throw a phantom flag on. But yeah, I'm not huge on Thornhill. I think that Brian Cook's going to take his spot, to be honest. I think Thornhill's out. Brian Cook will take it. Brian Cook, I wasn't happy with where we drafted him anyway. I thought it was a reach. I didn't know why we really needed him, but maybe they were looking forward to, maybe they already were down on Thornhill like I am on him now. Maybe they knew he wasn't going to be here. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
You know what I dislike about Thornhill? I know we're just getting off topic. We're on a Thornhill rage right now. But after that Cincinnati performance, and he's going to go out there and not even hit nobody, he's going to get on Twitter and beg for sympathy from Chiefs Kingdom and try to tell us that him
Made me
making
mad.
millions of dollars and he can't do his job and that we should be nice to him. Like, come on, dude. Like, they're riding the coattails of that one Super Bowl ring forever, and the dude didn't take a snap in the Super Bowl. Like, bro,
Man,
come
hey,
on.
in my fit of rage after that Bengals game, I actually tweeted him back, told him to shut up.
Oh
Me
no!
too.
Did he
I did
reply?
No, Colin Saunders and me went back and forth a little bit over the same kind of stuff because he was trying to claim, it don't matter. Basically saying it didn't matter how they played in the Bengals game because he's got such a good record with the Chiefs. And I made sure to let him know that, he was just getting carried by Patrick Mahomes the last 4 years. But
And then he called our mama ho. So, I mean, there's a claim to fame, right?
I don't like getting into it with players and stuff like that or like tweeting at them or anything, but the Thornhill thing and Colin Saunders thing just struck me so bad because I thought in that Bengals game they just showed no heart. They showed there was like no effort on that field from our standpoint. They looked really flat, like they didn't care. And then they get on Twitter instantly and they're just like asking everybody to like, be nice to us and all this stuff. I was just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me, man.
And
So I
Josh
couldn't help myself.
Josh Williams, the rookie, gets on there and takes accountability. Like, how big of a man
Yeah.
was he? And then you got the vets that's supposed to set the example crying. Like, get over it. Thornhill's
Yeah.
gone after this year. If Thornhill comes back to the Chiefs, I'm leaving.
I got to get my anger management down because I don't need to be doing those things. But I just couldn't help myself on those two
Hey,
that night.
well, speaking of the Bengals here, let's move on to the next topic. Next topic is Kylie. Who do you think, if the Chiefs do not get to the Super Bowl, who's the biggest threat to us not making the Super Bowl in the AFC? Like, who do you think it is?
I think it's the Bengals for a couple of reasons. So I think that they like that offensive line, as many jokes as I was making about it at the beginning of the season because it was trash. They've come a long way. They've really, really given Joe Burrow more time in the pocket. The run game has really become established over there with Mixon and Perry. Oh, I might be butchering that. But they're doing well there. They obviously have the best wide receiving core in the league. And then they've got a good defense. And they're consistent. The Bills, who I think a lot of people might say, I think Josh Allen's really inconsistent. They've recently become injury ridden. Von Miller's out. They're missing some key guys in their secondary. And then while they have sort of a run game, they kind of abandon it pretty quickly like we do. So I think there's a little too reliant on Josh Allen still. I think that might come back and bite them. And I know that we've proven we can beat them in the postseason, whereas the Bengals have our number, whether it be a physical matchup or a mental matchup. Mentally, there's a block there. So until we can get over that hump, I'm going to have to say the Bengals.
I'm right there with her. The Bengals is definitely going to be who we have to beat to get to the Super Bowl. I actually think that them having such a bad offensive line early in the season made Joe Burrow a better quarterback. He is so composed in that pocket, even with pressure, and he can slide away from pressure like it's nothing. I mean, we were all over him, and we saw that last year in the playoffs too. Chris Jones got to him, every other play, but he just could not finish it. Joe Burrow would find some way to slither out and make positive yardage or get a pass off. And I feel like he's just so calm and collected. And I've always been Joe Burrow's overrated guy, and I've always thought the Bengals just kind of got lucky last year. But after watching them, the last couple of weeks, I have to kind of eat my words on that. They look good. And it sucks to admit it because I hate them right now, but they are good. And I think that's the threat in the AFC. I'm with Kylie with the Bills. I think the Bills could beat us anytime, just the same way we can beat them anytime. Just kind of depends on the day and who wants to win. But they do have some key injuries, and the same as Andy McDermott gets away from their running game fast, and if Josh Allen ain't doing all the running, then there's not a whole lot going on there.
Right. So here's my thing. If you look at our schedule the rest of the way out, the Chiefs definitely have the advantage there. The number 1 seed should be ours. Do we think the Bills are going to win out the rest of the year? It's possible, but I think they got a better shot at taking an L than we do. So at the end of the day, I believe it's coming through Kansas City. And if that happens, they probably play the Bengals before we do. And,
they got to play them. I think they still have them on the regular season schedule.
Right. But they'll play them in the playoffs too before we do, probably, if that's the case. And so I do believe it's the Bengals as well. The only thing that kind of concerns me, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about all week long. I know Kylie's been seeing it on Twitter. The whole Spags, is the defense the problem? Should Spags be fired? Is it player personnel? Is it scheme? We're here. We think it's more player personnel than scheme. I mean, Spags is working with tons of rookies and new guys, and you name it. It's a ragtag group, to be honest, half of them. But some guy actually pointed out to me last night on Twitter, our salary cap dictates that our defensive line gets paid more than any defensive line in football, which is insane. And I did not even think about that, but that's crazy. But yeah, other than that, I do believe that it is going to be the Bengals that prevent us from getting there. But to be honest, I want to play the Bengals. And if we don't beat the Bengals, the Super Bowl's invalidated for me. I don't care anymore because they're all just going to say, well, Burrow would have won. But the other thing that causes it for me is that every team that plays us always plays to the best of their ability. Josh Allen has played like trash for the last 6 weeks. And if he plays us tomorrow, he'll have a QB rating of 4,000. The same with Joe Burrow. And it's like, is that also Spags? Is that something Spags' problem? Like, do these people have a legit thing? Or is that just Chiefs luck? Everybody brings their A game?
I can kind of answer that one for you. In my opinion, what it is we have no organic pass rush with the front four. We just don't. Other than Chris Jones, Frank Clark has not done his job in a couple years now. George Karlaftis is still trying to get there. And that defensive tackle spot beside Chris Jones has always been up in the air. I do want to see Brandon Williams there more. I thought he looked good in the little time he was in last week, but Spags has to blitz to get pressure on these guys, and good quarterbacks, much like Patrick Mahomes, can eat a blitz alive. And that's what's happening. And, it's like, oh, well, he needs to quit blitzing everybody. We could quits blitzing and they're just going to have 20 minutes to throw the ball anyway. You could go both ways. I don't think it's Spags at all. I'm totally on the Spags team. I think that he's took this young group and this new group, and they're the number 11 defense in all of football right now.
They're tied for 10. They're tied for 10.
Hey,
Steve, get it right.
It's hard to knock him for what he's done this year. So I don't put the blame on him.
Is it bad if I say it's a little of both for me? While we do have a really young roster, especially in the secondary, our DB room is very young. You mentioned Karlaftis. We've got Chanel. I am frustrated off when I feel like we're playing a little bit too much zone. I would like to see us play a little bit more man. I think we're concerned about leaving our DBs on an island, and I think that we need to give them a little bit more credit. If anything, we can try and double them or bracket them. I think they just need to give them an opportunity. They're athletic, they're fast. We got bigger guys, more athletic guys for a reason. So give them that opportunity. I think you're completely right to say we can't get pressure with 4. We can't. I also would like to see Brandon Williams come in. I think he's going to help with that. And I think Karlaftis is continuing to prove every day. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks if he can continue to get pressure and sacks. So it's frustrating because I do think some of it's scheme. I do think some of it's talent. I think our tackling is piss poor a lot of the time. I think our linebackers really struggle. Bolton struggles to get off blocks. I think our linebackers struggle in coverage in general. So there are issues there with personnel, but I think it's a little of both. I think, are we helping them? Are we doing what we can to help them and put them in positions? Like last year, he was putting Sorensen in positions he should have never been in. Is there a little bit of that happening this year? I wonder.
Right. I think some of our pass rush as well, going back to that, I think George Karlaftis does a pretty good job. He's definitely a high motor. He doesn't always win. He's kind of a run liability as well. But he gives us that, that thing that you need, that ability to make the quarterback feel uncomfortable. You always got to worry about George Karlaftis coming after you. I do believe the inside with Chris Jones. Actually, Mike Dan has looked pretty good. I honestly believe the reason our defensive line looks bad half the time is because Frank Clark is just not it. Like, we shouldn't have brought him back. I don't care how much money it saved. I just feel like we need to move on from Frank Clark. And I like Frank Clark, but I just don't feel like he's never lived up to anything we thought he was going to. That may be Veach's worst move by far, to be honest.
Man, I mean, the Super Bowl run, he was great, and he has flashes of greatness, but it's very few and far between these days. So the inconsistency is what gets me there. And just real quick, Kylie was kind of talking about how she wishes they would play more man and allow the cornerbacks to be on an island more. A lot of the time, that's the critique that Spags is getting, is that he keeps leaving the cornerbacks on the island and the rookies, and they're not good enough. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for him. So if he goes into the zone, it becomes why we're, you know what I'm saying?
She did say to give him safety help over the top, though, I think.
Right.
I did say that.
Okay. So she doesn't want a complete island. Steve, pay attention. Hey, let's jump into the next topic. We're almost out of time. Let's jump into the next topic. Do you guys believe Patrick Mahomes is still the front runner for MVP, or has he lost that to Jalen Hurts at this point?
I think he is the front runner for MVP. After the Bengals game, in a fit of rage, I said he wasn't. But even after the 3 picks last week, Jalen Hurts has got to be right there neck and neck with him. But Jalen Hurts is literally half running back, half quarterback. He don't throw the ball. And the only thing that people want to bring up, even if you go stat-wise, is, oh, well, Jalen Hurts don't have as many interceptions. He also throws the ball probably 30% of what Patrick Mahomes throws the ball. So overall, I don't want to take anything away from Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. They're absolutely excellent this year. But I'm still saying Patrick Mahomes is a front runner. What about you, Kylie?
Yeah, so I agree. I've actually you want to talk about Jalen Hurts, I could see it. I think he's nothing to take away from. He's had an amazing season on the ground. He's had an amazing season in the air. Absolutely. The growth he's made over the offseason from last season to this season's been crazy. But when you think about most valuable player, and we were talking about the other night on Kingdom Kast, but when you think about this, like, most valuable player is someone that really has to put the team on their back and carry them to a victory. And Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have a stacked team on both sides of the ball. Whereas we were just complaining about our defense. They have a defense, where sometimes we kind of complain about our run game. They do have a run game outside of Jalen Hurts. So I think they have a great offensive line. Our offensive line is good, but we've seen moments where our tackles have a really hard time and they don't. So I think there's a lot of other factors for the Eagles that they have going for them, whereas we're a younger team. We're working through things. We've got some growing pains. We still do have a few personnel problems. So Pat really does have to get out there, and there are games when he has to put the team on his back and will them to victory, and he does. And he has he leads the league in receiving yards, and he may have a ton of picks, but you're right. He throws it so much more than Jalen Hurts does. So for me, I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes, still MVP. Call it me being a homer, call me being biased, but those are why. That's why.
I'm going to tell you exactly why Patrick Mahomes is MVP. Because the entire offseason, they told us that we were worse, our receivers were trash, we threw Tyreek away. And on the opposite side, Jalen Hurts is adding weapons. They're trading for A.J. Brown. They're going and stacking it. So we got depleted, he got stacked, and Patrick Mahomes is still a better passer than he is, even with our ragtag group we have, according to the media. So it's got to be Mahomes. Before we leave here, Kylie, give us a prediction on this Texans game. What's the score going to be?
Okay, I'm going to give you 2 predictions. It should be 42-0. It's going to be 31-27.
God, I hope not. I'm going to be
too.
Mad the whole time if it's that close.
I've got myself, Boogie, Country, and Chuck. We get together twice a week. We talk Chiefs football. We do post-game, pre-game. You can check us out. Kingdom Kast with 2 Ks. YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, Instagram. Look us up. Thank you guys so much for having me on. This has been awesome. I love chatting with you guys. You're awesome. Your show's great. Keep doing good work. Thank you so much. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on. For real. We enjoy having you.
Man, you guys are so fun to talk to.
Chiefs Kingdom, make sure to get down in the comments. Let us know how you enjoyed our guest today. Also, who should we have on the show next? Catch this video right here from Kingdom Kast. Show your support for them. Hit that like button, hit the sub button, hit the bell, and we'll be back tomorrow with more coverage on the Chiefs versus the Texans. Peace.
See you guys.
There goes a sight from my soul.